Action! The time of the year has come. We look back on 2023 and we evaluate the movies that were utter garbage. And today, I'm going to give you 10 movies. That's right, 10 movies that I think was utter garbage in the year 2023. And personally, I think ones that you should probably avoid. What's going to make my list? Well, stick around and let's get into this. Hey everyone, what's going on? Hope you're doing well and thank you so much for taking your own time out to check out this top 10 list. Now, I'm going to give you top 10 movies that I did not enjoy this year, movies that I have absolutely hated to watch, and by the time they were finished, I was left frustrated. But I have got one honourable mention. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty more, but I kind of just try to condense this list. So my honourable mention is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And the reason why is I went into this movie hoping it was going to be good. The trailers give it all kind of like a more of a serious vibe. But when the movie actually finished, it was awful. A CG bloated mess. Ant-Man felt like a backstory character in his own movie. And the plot was just completely stupid. And I did not like the movie at all. So with that honourable mention out the way, let's see how long it takes to get my blood pressure up through the roof. Do you want access to early videos you won't ever see here onto the channel? Well, click the link down below in the description box today and join my Patreon with memberships only starting from £1 per month. You get so much extra stuff and it costs less than one coffee per day. And I'd also like to give a quick thank you to all my awesome patrons who help to really support the channel and who are also reaping all these benefits, so join them today. Coming in at number 10 is a DreamWorks movie that, I'll be honest, I saw the trailer, didn't really think much of it, but, you know, hey, I like a good kids animation movie, but this one I did not like, and that is Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. The animation was just weird here, the story was predictable, like the villain, you could guess straight away, and it wasn't as if it was not obvious and it was like a nice twist or turn and unexpected. It was obvious, the animation was weird, the story was boring, and by the time of this, I basically nearly bored myself to tears. Coming in at number 9 is a comedian that I don't even know how they've got the title of a comedian, but hey, that's here and there or there. And it stars Jack Whitehall. I think it was released straight on streaming, and that is called Robots. And again, I didn't really expect anything going into this movie whatsoever, but hey, I thought, look, let's check it out. It was Jack Whitehall and I believe Shailene Woodley, and I like Shailene Woodley. But this went, oh man, this was bad. This was like a case of like, it was like a dual identity of both of those actors as like one another, as like a robot and the human form. And it just didn't work. It was trying to be funny. Jack Whitehall was trying to insert his comedy, and I'm not a fan of him, but I thought, look, maybe the script, you know, was written better for him, but it just seemed like if it was improvised dialogue by him, it had like a big political message in it, and it just wasn't needed for like what the movie was supposed to be. And by the time it ended, I was just like very relieved that I didn't have to sit through that movie ever again in my lifetime. Coming in at number 8 is actually one of the first movies I watched of 2023, which was not a great start, but it was sent to me via an early screener, and that is a movie called Firenado. Now, if you're wondering, Firenado, like what? I've never heard of this. Yeah, basically, it's exactly as it sounds. Fire in a tornado, destroying like cities and stuff. And the thing is, right, a movie like this should just be goofy, should know what it is. The actors involved should be getting told, like, look, just act like you know what this is. It's goofy, and just kind of go with the flow. But instead, they go for like a super serious route. And I'm like, a super serious route does not, like, you know, go well when the CG is absolutely abysmal. Like, you can tell, like, the actors weren't looking at what the CG was, because there was times where it was right here, like the Firenado, but then they're looking like here, and I was just like, well, you can clearly tell. So if they can't act to it properly, or at least like something that's, you know, like at least something there, maybe even like a model scale of something to have like a bit of reference, it's not going to work. And this movie didn't. It did have okay cinematography, so yeah, it's better than other movies I've mentioned so far. Coming in at number 7 is a movie that is generic as generic comes. It was sent to me by an early screener, so I always appreciate an early screener, but this one was awful, and it stars Jason, Patrick, and Cam Gigandet, and it is called Shrapnel. Think of any action movie, any heist movie, any just movie of that genre in general, and just think of it done in a low budget with a kind of two people that have got like no names and just the most generic of plots like cartel and all that kind of stuff, and you have shrapnel, and this is just so boring. Like, the characters feel like as if they're all given like forced performances. There's just like no chemistry between like husband, wife, family, anything like that. There's no chemistry between like Cam Gigandet and Jason Patrick. It both just feels like as if they're there to collect the pay slip and go home, and that's fine. They've all got bills to pay like any of us do, but when you're putting together a movie and you're putting your name on that movie, surely you want it to be in kind of like some good stead or like a stamp on it. But instead it seemed that these two like, meh, don't really care. But it made my top worst list. And as we go down in these movies, they're about to get worse. And number 6 is the epitome of getting worse. It is expend four balls. I mean, whatever they want to call this movie, I really don't know. If you read the trivia on this alone before you even go to it, Stallone wanted nothing to do with it. He wanted to pass the torch, the mantle, and kind of get rid. And I appreciate he's getting older, so he maybe think, maybe I'm getting a little bit older to do this. But when you have that attitude going into it, you don't want to do it anymore. You know that the movie is going to be bad, and this is exactly what Expendables 4, Balls, whatever you want to call it, is. The CG is awful here, guys. Like, it's green screen. Like, the green screen is worse than Asylum movies, and if you know my channel, I watch a hell of a lot of Asylum movies. Some of it was that bad, and the thing is, there was even one particular scene I was baffled by. The fact that it's shot on location in this like kind of abandoned warehouse, but there's certain shots in this warehouse scene that are green screened, and I'm like, why? It's shot on location. Why are we using green screen on like a shot location? Especially if it's just like driving buggies. Like, I don't get it. It was bad. It was frustrating. I hated this movie. It's an awful action movie. And who put Megan Fox and 50 Cent as main action stars? Who makes that decision? Okay, so coming in at number 5 is a movie I actually just watched like 1 or 2 weeks ago as I'm filming this review and this video list. Sorry, not a review, like this video list. And it's directed by Meg Ryan. It stars Meg Ryan, and over it stars David Duchovny, if I've got his name right. And it's called What Happens After. Now, I did hear Lisa Loves talk about this one, and I believe Dan from The Upside Dan spoke about this as well, or at least Letterboxd Reviews. And heck, I like Meg Ryan, of course. I think a lot of us do, from like kind of the 90s movies and stuff like that. So I didn't say anything about this, but after I read that she directed it, I was like, oh, cool. You know, like Meg Ryan make a return to like the big screen. Awesome. Like, you know, how good is this going to be? Now, the basics of this plot is her and David Duchovny's character dated when they were young. They broke up. It's been raw. They both get stranded in this airport in snow. All flights are cancelled. So, of course, as they kind of are stranded, they talk about their kind of past like lives, what's happened to them from that point, why did they break up, and kind of all those feelings, right? Which, on paper, it sounds like an okay kind of rom-com. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, let's kind of check this out. And when I tell you guys this, this is how this plays out, right? You get an airport scene. Of course, they're stuck in an airport, but you just get a general scene where like maybe sat on like some seats, for example. They start off by hating each other. This is all in one scene. They start off by hating each other, having a go at each other. Then they will get to the point where they start laughing, carrying on like things seem to be okay. And the end of the scene is them arguing again. And imagine that for an hour and like 44 minutes. That is what happens after. So this isn't really what should be called What Happens After. This is called What Happens After is pure boredom, because that is exactly how I felt when I finished this movie, and I could not wait till this one finished, and I will never be watching this one again. Coming in at number 4 is a movie that was a kind of a remake, reboot of sorts. I mean, I don't really know. But basically, it's based on the movie that is done by Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson in the past that a lot of people like, and that is White Men Can't Jump. Not much to say in this one, guys, I'll be honest. Jack Harlow this music social media influencer in this movie. There's kind of no real positives except from the movie at least looks nice, but I mean, pretty much most people can do that. So yeah, White Man Can't Jump shouldn't have been a movie that was ever made. This was awful, terrible dialogue, abysmal, and one that I'll never be watching again. Coming in at number 3 is the third time I've actually shot this portion of the video, so I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated, never mind the amount of these movies are making me. But this is Zoe 102. I'm just going to kind of make this a quick one, guys. This was a show I used to watch as a teenager. The humour was in the early 2000s. Basically, this movie, set in 2023, is around 15 years later, I believe, after the kind of show ended. And the humour is the exact same. The characters are the exact same. They haven't grown up. They haven't matured. They're stuck in the early 2000s. And basically, Paramount and Nickelodeon tried to nostalgia the whole lot of the fans that they had for the show into thinking that this was going to work, and it absolutely does not. This was utter tragedy waiting to happen. Coming in at number 2 is a mockbuster of the kind of big hit for Universal, I believe, this year of Cocaine Bear, and that is Kane Shark. Now, with this one, I've sent an early screener, so I'm very thankful to have had the early screener, but the CG is awful, the acting is terrible, it was made for like absolute pennies, and I understand they didn't have the budgets, but the biggest issue is there's no chemistry, especially as like actual husband and wife, real life kind of partnership, actually like act alongside one another, and it feels like they have no chemistry in the movie. And I'm just like, how does that happen? But anyway, CG's awful, dialogue's awful, script's awful, directing is also that as well. And there's also times where our main character has these dream sequences and the audio is crystal clear, and he also has dream sequences where the audio is very echoey without any explanation. Nothing is kind of touched on at all as to why the audio is completely different, and this is just an absolute mess. And finally, coming in at number 1 is a movie that was sent to me by an early screener from Shudder, so thank you to them for sending me this screener, but also kind of not thank you at the same time. I'm only kidding, I always appreciate checking out the screener, but this was truly terrible. And I believe in like a review on this, on like, the trailer that was shown for this, someone had said like this is like the female version of The Shining, or like the director has gone out to do that as a like director and writer, Stuart Thorndike, and it's called Bad Things. Now the thing is that it's going to start this off immediately is as you compare yourself to The Shining, that is mistake number 1, as that is a highly regarded movie, so just make an original idea, or you could have at least say like inspired by that, you know, but no, they were like, this is like the rendition of that, so trying to make this as better, and it's really not, guys. There's nothing to like here except from the first couple of minutes where our characters show up at this hotel. It's desolate town, it's isolated, it's snowing outside, so they're stuck, right? So straight away, at least they kind of like try to build you into the picture, but after that, none of the friends stick together, they don't have good chemistry, there's no good dialogue here whatsoever. All of them are just going their own separate ways, although one of them are like getting picked off one by one pretty much at this point. They're then trying to get with each other, they're not getting each other, there's some kind of backstory which plays pretty much like no part into this whatsoever, and it's just trying to be clever when it's not clever, but instead of like writing a clever movie, spending that time to actually make an original idea, even with like a big name being an inspiration, no, they try to top that, you know, absolute kind of classic at this point, and they fail utterly and very miserably. Bad Things. It's a bad thing that this exists. So that's my top 10 list of the year. What is your top 10 worst movies of 2023? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel by clicking the button down below, and until next time I see you guys, I'll be seeing you later.